Hello everyone, welcome to BraveHearts. This is Xiangling. So recently, a lot of news is regarding about Chinese Communist Party's infiltration in the United States. And a lot of times, people are thinking about the traditional like spy war, right? CCP sending spies into United States, and of course, recently we already know many of the consulate from the Chinese Communist Party in the United States. They are like a spy hub, right? So that's why the Department of State actually shut down the consulate at Houston for the Chinese Communist Party. So people start to think, wow, CCP probably have a lot of spies in the United States. But at the same time, people are also wondering, how about so many Chinese students coming to the United States every year, right? Hundreds of thousands of students. And also, how about those Chinese employees that are working in the United States? Are they another pool of potential spies? And of course, nowadays the FBI is paying attention to many of these CCP spy operations. They may forcing many of the Chinese students or Chinese American. Some people already probably naturalized into U.S. citizens. Some of these people may be recruited by the Chinese Communist Party to collect information for them, whether it's commercial intelligence or technical intelligence, right? And today I want to talk to you another very interesting aspect of this Chinese CCP spy operation, and I call it spy operation, but even though the FBI's today's indictment is more about its operation inside China, but it's actually influencing the U.S. companies. Right? Look like a huge gap, right? The operation inside China, how can it be directly interfere with U.S. corporations? And so, let's talk about these companies. And we probably have a lot of people using these video conferencing tools, right? Whether it's Google Meet, Webex, or Zooms. After COVID started, everybody have to go through this learning curve to use different video conferencing tools. And of course, many people already heard about the booming of a platform called Zoom. And this Zoom platform has skyrocketed its stock values in this year, and right now its values it's about 16 billions, and it's already in the U.S. stock market right now, and many people buy its stocks. And so today's case that FBI brought about is actually related to this company. So let me bring you a very interesting case that today FBI just announced, or Department of Justice just announced. Let me show you this one. So this one is FBI's cases. Let me see. Oh, it didn't show up. Hold on. Kind of stuck in here. Let me make sure it works. Very interesting. This FBI's case file got stuck in the space right now. Let me bring it up again. Just a second. Where did it go? So let me see. Some of these files have disappeared mysteriously. Let me open it up again. Okay. Hopefully this time it works. Oh, all right, everyone. Sorry, somehow it didn't work. Just a second. Let me show you this. Hold on a second. This website doesn't pop up again. So, pretty sorry for everyone. I'm using the OBS system. It's recognized this web browser a moment ago before I started, and somehow it didn't work right now. Let me see. Let me try again. Okay, now finally it's showing up. All right, let me zoom in. Let me show you this one now. Okay. So finally working. So basically today, the Department of Justice announced a case against China-based executive at the U.S. telecommunication company, charged with disrupting video meetings commemorating Tiananmen Square massacre. Right. So this case, very interesting. Just from the title, you can say this executive is actually based in China. So that means this Chinese guy is working inside China, but is employee from U.S. telecommunication. And in this case, in his complaint letters, and the company's name was not mentioned, was not identified. But I think everybody pay attention to the news around June, you will realize it's about Zoom. So at the beginning, I was also looking for the information about Zoom, and I also checking this guy called Xinjiang Jin, Xinjiang. Right, so this is a guy has another English name called Julien Jin. So I was looking for his information on the LinkedIn. Hopefully I can find some additional information for this guy. So I look at his LinkedIn information, and very interesting. Let me see if I can show you the linking information. Right, so his linking information actually showing he's working at the Webex. Right? So he's a software developer at Webex, and why do I believe that he's the guy? Because he also worked in Zhejiang University, and the owner of the Webex, or the founder of the Webex, Mr. Zhu Ming, is also a graduate from Zhejiang University in Zhejiang province near Shanghai. So these linking information may not be updated, and this guy Julien Jin, he didn't show his full picture, but I believe it's him. He may start working Zoom right now. So in here, I have to talk about the connection between Webex and Zoom. Most people think Webex belong to Cisco's, and what's its connection with Zoom? Zoom is another Chinese guy called Eric Yuan. He established, right? So what's the connection between them? So let me show you who's the guy, Eric Yuan in Zoom. So the guy in center. So the guy in the center of this photo, when Zoom went to Nasdaq, and the Chinese guy in the middle is Eric Yuan. He's the founder of Zoom, but he has 14 years engineering experience in Webex, so he has strong connection with Webex. And then we also need to talk about these gentlemen. and his name is Julien. So Julien is the founder of Webex. He graduated from Zhejiang University, and he is the one who recruited Eric Yuan to work for Webex. And it's interesting that Chinese newspaper it reported that Eric Yuan originally got rejected 8 times for his application of visa to come into United States to work, but the 9th time he managed to make it, and this time his boss is Mr. Julien in this photo, and Julien is the founder of Webex. So these two connect very tightly. So after Eric Yuan worked 14 years in Webex, he started to make his own business, and here comes Zoom. So most people familiar with Webex, but Zoom is also similar, right? So Zoom is very convenient to use, very user friendly, and it has a lot of convenient tools for hosting webinars and other like video conference, multi parties conference, video conference, very convenient to use, and its connection is relatively always stable. So many people started using it after the COVID-19. But what's the connection between this Zoom with the Chinese Communist Party? So actually in June there was a report about Zoom was involved in shutting down several video conference calls commemorating the Tiananmen Square massacre, right? So these fit into the press release today by the Department of Justice regarding the charge against Xinjiang Jin, this Julien Jin. So we can take a look at these. Okay, these press release. Some of the things I want to highlight because it's very important to see what's the scheme of operation, how one guy in China can influence whole Zoom operation, how do they make the company compliant with the CCP's internet police. It's a pretty interesting case. That's why I want to highlight this case today. So in this letter, we see that the Assistant Attorney General for National Security, John Demers, stated that no company with significant business interests in China is immune from the coercive power of Chinese Communist Party, and the Chinese Communist Party will use those within its reach to set the tree of liberty, stifling free speech in China and the United States and elsewhere about the party's repression of the Chinese people. So it says clearly the Chinese Communist Party's hands already reach beyond the border of the PRC, and using coercive powers, they forcing the company, whether you are a United States company or a company in other country, to comply their laws regarding internet censorship. So FBI Director Christopher Wray also stated the FBI remained committed to protecting the exercise of free speech for all Americans. And as this complaint alleged, the freedom was directly infringed upon the pernicious activity of the Communist Party's intelligence service in support of a regime that neither reflects nor upholds our democratic values. So I want to help everyone go through the complaint letter because a lot of details are very interesting. Let me see if I can bring up this complaint letter. Hopefully there's no technical issue right now. Let me check. Let me see. Sorry, it still has some issue right now. Let me check. It was opened up earlier. Let's do it this way. me see if I can open up this file again. So this browser stopped working on my computer. Hold on a second. Just a second. Hope it works. Let me see, my computer here is stuck. Somehow this doesn't work. Oh. Sorry everyone, my computer here, the browser kind of disappear. the mouse doesn't work. Let me see how it works. Okay, so finally at least get it working right now. Okay, now we see this complaint letter and also an application for arrest warrant. So this is a serious crime being charged right now. So let's skip the part regarding about the FBI agents. All right, so overall background right now. So the company one definitely we mentioned that this is Zoom, and it's a cloud-based peer-to-peer software platform. And Julien Jin is a 39-year-old citizen from PRC and employed by the company one, and I believe it's Zoom. He is a security technical leader, right? And here's some background. I think everybody familiar with the CCP is a one-party state. So to effectuate censorship scheme, the PRC government requires electronic communication service provider that operate in the PRCs, such as Zoom, to proactively monitor users' activity on their network and to terminate discussion on politically sensitive topics. So in here, at the beginning, one of the big question is, how did Zoom hire this guy, Julien Jin? Did they aware, were they aware that Julien Jin maybe is a Chinese Communist Party member, or maybe even a national security agent, because this guy is working so closely with the Chinese government's internet police, or also you can call it the agents from Ministry of Public Security, right? And also Ministry of State Security. So MS and MPS are two important security agencies in China, and they control the internet police as well. So how did the whole scheme started, right? So everybody know about Tiananmen Square. Let me skip this part. So the crime scheme started in this way. So Jin, the Julien Jin, worked with one employee from the Zoom, from the company one, and this employee one, unfortunately, this complaint letter didn't mention his name, but he's the one actually support Jin's operation very deeply. And so starting from 2019, Jin already started to work with this employee one to ensure company one can comply with CCP's operation or CCP's rule of law. And so let me see. So the Chinese government, they probably learned from the lessons on June 4th in 2019. So they know many of the dissidents will hold different events commemorating the Tiananmen Square massacre. So CCP decided to enhance its censorship activity online. So on about June 4th, 2019, Jin has exchanged electronic messages with a group of individuals who are company one's employee, the Zoom's employee, including the employee one, and notifying them his efforts to collect information from social media to identify and block a group of company one's users who were planning video chat meetings to commemorate the 30th anniversary of June 4th, 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. So these didn't ring any bell for these company one's employees, the Zoom's employees. Nobody's saying this is actually helping the CCP's spying on users, on Zoom users. Maybe they are U.S. Citizens, right? How can you not to be alerted? This could be a espionage activity, right? The spy activities. Well, and then on August 22nd, 2019, Jin and then the employee one other individuals from Zoom, they exchanged electronic message discussing a video meeting hosted by the Zoom one users on what one of the employees identified as company one server in the United States. So now this time it's a little bit different. The meeting is actually also hosted on the servers, on these Zoom servers in the United States. And Jin stated that the host organization was a Chinese hot cod and frequently made up the Zoom service, and stated the user account should be blocked due to its nature of contents. So Jin right now is acting pretty much on behalf of the Chinese government's MPS or MSS, the State Secret Service or police or public security service. Right, so even though the company claimed that he was as a liaison between the company and the Chinese Secret Service, but pretty much he's the enforcer in the Zoom company to make sure the company complied CCP's law. So that's why I think his identity really need to be carefully checked. He's not just an ordinary employee for the Zoom. And then the employee one in Zoom work together with Jin closely and need to make sure these accounts can be deleted. And then the collaboration continues, right? And on September 8, 2019, and the Chinese government blocked PRC-based internet users from connecting to the Zoom service. So this is actually a tactic, right? So the government can shut down your connections, users' connection to your server. So this is kind of like intimidation, and it's also a coercion, because once the users in China cannot use your service, you will lose your market access in China. So this is a tactic the Chinese government always use. All right. So the next time, right? So when the PRC government official indicated that the Zoom could resume operation in a PRC once the Zoom comply with PRC laws or regulation. Right, so this is a tactic. They first cut off your service, and then they say you have to comply our laws and regulations to avoid the loss of your business. So the officials directed Zoom to prepare or submit to various PRC government agencies, including Hangzhou office of PRC's and PS network securities, and you need to provide a rectification plans and reports describe how the company one would do this. So step by step, they tighten up the rope pretty much. Very interestingly, regarding the rectification plan, Chinese government actually enforcing something called 1 minute rule. Let me scroll down so if I can get to that part. Let me see. It's called 1 minute rule. Let me see if I can get this part. Okay. I think we will talk about it when we come to that part. And the Chinese government not only want to control Zoom's operation in China, in the United States, they also want to control the company's operation worldwide. So the communication between Jin and employee one is very interesting. In April 3, 2020, Jin stated the MS preference was that Zoom not to terminate meeting of target user immediately, based upon the FBI guy's training. He said that the reason that Zoom need to keep the meetings open is because the Chinese government's MSs, they want to obtain additional details on the meeting participants, monitor the content of the meeting, and then gain actionable intelligence on the pro-democracy movement. So this is not just simply providing information for the Chinese government, following Chinese government's law. This is helping them to spy on people and then help them to maybe even arrest some dissidents inside China too. And it's unbelievable that the Zoom company can collaborate with the Chinese government to such an extent. This is clear espionage activities. Right, on April 8, 2020, Jin advised employee one of the PRC government to develop capability to respond to the PRC government's demand to terminate an illegal meeting account recording within 1 minute. Yeah, here's the one that they talk about. The government, Chinese government, want a U.S. company to develop a 1 minute censorship mechanisms to shut down the meetings or account or recordings based on Chinese government requests. And you don't have time to debate about it. They need 1 minute processing requirement. And so basically, you are the slave of the Chinese government. Once you enter the Chinese market, they can demand you to do this. Right? You need to follow the rule, and within 1 minute, you need to take down the dissidents' account, activities, recordings. Everybody probably will be shocked that the Chinese government can exert such tremendous power on U.S. company. And there are more bizarre things in this exchange between Jin and its employee one in the Zoom company. Yeah, this one, on April 15, 2020, Jin wrote to employee one, said, "Yesterday, MSS asked me to track down a bad organization overseas." And then another employee to ask Jin, "Is there someone applying for an account here and doing bad things in China?" Otherwise, it has nothing to do with MSS, as Jin replied, "Almost, but even abroad, political attacks on leaders are not allowed." Right, so you can see very clearly CCP's hands extended to other countries, just like the national security law passed in Hong Kong. Anyone violating Chinese government's national security law, no matter where you're located, the Chinese government allege they have this authority to charge you, to indict you because you're violating Chinese government's national security law. The national security laws is everywhere. They can be applied to anyone in the whole earth. But in here, you see a clear example. They are actually implementing it. At the beginning, it may sound ridiculous that Chinese government has this kind of law, but now you see a clear example. They are using it. And the reason that the Chinese government can do this, Jin responded to that. He stated, "We have so many people and multinational companies in China, so we have to take care of both sides." So this is a typical Chinese government's propaganda tone, right? They always say, "Oh, we have too many people we need to maintain social stabilities, and we need to have these kind of laws." This is such a typical CCP's propaganda tone. And then the next one we can see the Zoom companies, very high-level executives, the chief operating officers and general counsels know clearly what's going on. So it's not like a small operations being compromised because of CCP's government's pressure. No, this is actually from top down. The Zoom company know about these activities. And Jin talked to the CEO from this company, explained he's walking around permissions, and he's clearly informing that they need to comply with the powerful Chinese government's agency request. And he said, the Chinese government department that I contacted allow me to check their documents, but will not leave any proofs of photos and other things that might be exposed. So CCP agencies, the MSS, MPS, they are very smart. They don't want to leave any evidence, but they just want Jin to pass a message to forcing the Zoom company to comply the rules. And then on May 7, 2020, Jin wrote an electronic message to other individuals in the Zoom company, stating that even if other United States social media and search companies had no business in the PRC, they still terminate accounts and posts at the request of Chinese government's 政府. That's Chinese government. ZF stands for 政府. So in here, actually, what Jin revealed is that probably such company like Google's or Facebook, other big companies in the United States, even though they may not have business in the PRC, but they still willfully comply with Chinese government's request. Right? They can terminate accounts or posts at the request of Chinese governments. So this is not just about Zoom. It's actually telling the United States public that Chinese government has such a strong influence for the U.S. big tech company, those search engine company, the social media company. They are willfully comply with Chinese government's request. This is scary, right? So a Chinese government can even control a U.S. company whether you have business in China or not. And then these complaint letters deal more detail about the scheme that Jin and employee one in the Zoom set up, and also probably with some of the officers from Chinese government's MSS or MPS. How do they sabotage the meeting, so the video conference meeting held around June 4th in 2020. So the scheme is basically like this. They set up many email alias account, and so they are basically fake email accounts, and using these email accounts they set up Zoom accounts, and in this Zoom account they post profile photos related to terrorisms or sex trafficking, or like ISIS photos, child abuse. They set up these accounts using these kind of terrible images as a profile image, and then they using these fake accounts log into the video conference meetings, and then they use these fake email accounts, maybe sending out alert to the Zoom companies saying, oh, someone is promoting or discussing terrorism or child abuse on these video conference, and then forcing the Zoom company to take action to shut down these meetings. And of course, they didn't want to shut down from the very beginning. They wanted to shut down after the Chinese government collected the information regarding about the participants in these meetings. So, you know, the meeting participants could be distant inside China or outside China. These complaint letter even mentioned one Chinese dissident inside China was actually briefly detained because his information was revealed by the Zoom company. These information were being provided to the Chinese internet police. And these complaint letter even mentioned that with the collaboration between Julien Jin and the employee 1 and employee 2 in Zoom company, about 50,000 of user information was actually provided to the Chinese government. So this is definitely large scale spy activity, not just simply complying Chinese government's internet police requirements. So that's a very alarming situation that a U.S. company established in the U.S. and on the U.S. stock market can kneel down to the Chinese government's request in such degrees. So they give their user information to Chinese government agencies. They even allow Julien Jin or some of even the Chinese government officials to access a database on the servers in the United States, and they're providing account information to them, and then they comply the Chinese government request to have 1 minute termination process when the Chinese government requests to shut down any activities, any particular activities that related to Chinese government sensitive topics, right, like Tiananmen Square or even Hong Kong topics, Hong Kong demonstrations. So these companies not a normal U.S. company that will uphold the value of United States. They basically like and branch operation of Chinese Communist parties. You can say censorship departments, right? Because they seem on the surface they provide a very convenient video conferencing tool for the world, for United States, but through this platform they actually influence people's freedom, or you can say interferes people's freedom of expression in the United States, and then also providing this information to the Chinese government, so the Chinese government can blacklist some American people, they can arrest dissidents inside China. So they are tools for the Chinese government's suppressing regime, right? So this is not a simple case, even though the Department of Justice indictment letter seems to be focused on the China-based executives forcing the Zoom company to comply Chinese government rule, but I think it's actually could be more severe charges than what it is right now. So this is one example, the big tech companies in the United States being you can say being infiltrated by the Chinese government totally, because they even hire hundreds of employees inside China. So any of these Chinese employees can can be Communist Party member, can be Communist Party's spy agents, can be playing very important roles to forcing U.S. company to follow the Chinese government's demands. So how can people still using such a service, a Zoom service? And when people question about Zoom security protocols in this year, and the Zoom say we can create a government version, a more safe versions, but do you really believe that? If they still have employees inside China, if they still have employees that working as liaison, they call it liaison between Chinese government and companies, they may be as a spies for the Chinese government, how could you trust that the Zoom can have a safe government version for the United States? And so anyway, I encourage everyone to read into this complaint letter. This press release and this complaint letter is on the Department of Justice website, and if you can read through that, you will be alarmed how outrageous these Chinese government's demand is, but how pathetic these U.S. company is following the government's order by the Chinese communist regime. They are not following U.S. orders. They are following the Chinese Communist Party's orders. So it's such a pathetic situation, right? All right. So let me see if I can have my video turned on, because my browser is kind of stuck today. Let me see if it works. Let me see if I can work on these. Alright, so because my computer kind of stuck in here, so unfortunately I have to stop streaming and recording. See if I can stop this. Computer make a mess today.